Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be doing my October book haul. Surprisingly, I have more that I got from Amazon. Normally I'm a Pango bitch and I get a lot of shit off of Pango. But this month was a big Amazon haul, mostly because I started doing Fetch and you can so if you guys know what Fetch is, it's an app where you scan your receipts and you get like points for things, and after a certain amount of points you're able to redeem them for gift cards. And so I got 2 Amazon gift cards, I think, through just doing Fetch, and bought books with them. But as usual, we're going to start with my book of the month pick for October, and that is Starling House by Alex E. Harrow. I have not read this author before, but I know a lot of people loved their book, 10,000 Doors, something like that is what it's called. I know a lot of people love that book, and this one caught my interest because it's like a gothic, I just remember there being like a gothic mansion and like a reclusive author. That's pretty much all I remember about reading the synopsis, but that's what got me hooked on it, so I decided to pick it up and give it a try. We're gonna go to like the books that I got at like random stores. So I got this one actually at my job. We do have like a book table. It's nothing like spectacular, but every once in a while we get some interesting books that come in. But I got The Haunting by Natasha Preston. It's more about like a serial killer that did a mass killing on Halloween. So this is like the anniversary of this incident, and now there's like a copycat killer that's coming around. So I don't know, I figured I'd give it a try. It's November, we're past spooky season, but again, I bought all these in October, so I was all, into spooky season, and so there's that one. I went to a writer's workshop at the library, and it was taught by local indie authors, and they did have their books for sale, so I picked up one of them, and that is Ashes by Sahar Abdulaziz. I hope I said that right. It's the first book in the Evil Never Dies series, so I don't know entirely what it's about, but I told her that she was teaching a course on writing villains, and I said I love the villains and I love the anti-heroes, so she told me to pick up this one, give it a try. So I'm going to read you guys the back because that's how I am. After Tobias Brandt dies suddenly, his eldest son, with the support of his 2 siblings, writes an obituary and has it published in the local newspaper. But instead of celebrating their father's accomplishments and honoring his memory, it's a scathing, contemptuous, and revealing account of the legacy of damage he caused. Absent of closure, Tobias's death ignites an unforeseeable consequence of events that his surviving children are forced to unravel, one perilous upset after the next. So it sounds interesting. Ashes is book 1 in Sahar Abdulaziz's series Evil Never Dies, a suspenseful page-turner about dysfunctional people navigating the complexities of grief, hypocrisy, and power. It's not long at all. It's only like not even 200 pages. But she was such a engaging speaker and such an interesting teacher, and had a lot of fun stories and about things about the writing process. So I really am curious to read her writing and see what I think of it. So I'm going to definitely give this one a try. She did have the second book also there, but I just picked up the first one just to try it. Okay, so those were like the random buys. Now we're going to go to the local used bookstore that I often frequent. Y'all know this. So I went in there usually she posts things on Facebook, and when I walked in, she was taking pictures of new books to post on her Facebook. So I was like stalking the Facebook page, waiting for her to post them to see if I wanted anything. So from that post, I picked up Down From Below by Darcy Coates. So y'all know I've been collecting a lot of Darcy Coates books. I've been collecting them faster than I've been reading them, but I have been enjoying the ones I've been reading. This one is a dive team, I think. Yeah. 60 years ago, a ship vanishes, and now a dive team has been granted permission to explore the hull. Kind of, I guess it's similar to the Titanic. Straightforward, examine the wreck, film everything, and if possible, uncover how and why the supposedly unsinkable ship vanished. But now there's something like, of course, something dark and hungry watches from below, with limited oxygen and the ship slowly closing in around them. The dive team will have to fight their way free of unspeakable horror, now desperate to claim them. So this kind of gets a little... We'll see. This was not from Ollie's. This was from the bookstore, but I got The Winter People by Jennifer McMahon. And I read one of her books several years ago at this point. I can't remember which one it was, but the ending, it was an interesting, engaging story. And then the ending screwed it up for me because it wasn't what I expected and I didn't anticipate it and was not impressed. I was kind of actually annoyed that that's the route it took. So I haven't really been reading any of her stuff since then because I'm a little bit like put off by it now. But this is another one that's like a haunted house situation. She also does Jennifer McMahon. I always say it that weird. But she does do a lot of back and forth present day and like dual timeline, I should say. So now we have West Hall, Vermont has always been a town of strange disappearances and old legends. The most mysterious is that of Sarah Harrison Shea, who in 1908 was found dead in the field behind her house. So now in present day, 19-year-old Ruthie lives in Sarah's farmhouse with her mother and sister. Well, now one day the older sister wakes up and finds her mother vanished. In her search for clues, she finds a copy of Sarah's diary in the floorboards of her mother's bedroom and gets stuck into the historical mystery about what happened. So it's kind of haunted, not really. I don't know, it sounds interesting. I love things with like old creepy houses. So that's why I pretty much picked this one up. And then of course, I usually go in there to get romance because, you know. So I did pick up a couple romances. So actually, I'm not even familiar with this series or this author. But the first one I got was Personal Escort by Ainsley Booth. This is part of a series. I don't know what any kind of order they're supposed to be in. I assume these are probably in the middle of a series because that's just how it typically happens when I get books from there. This is one is he's her billionaire BFF. She needs a husband. So I think this is a marriage of convenience. Fake dating, fake marriage of convenience. She needs to get married or at least make it look like she got married. He can't let his best friend's little sister rush into anything foolish. So when she needs to hire an escort, says he'll take care of it. So now he's waiting for her. So interesting. And then again, super short. This is like novella length. They're really short. And then the other one I got by Ainsley Booth is A Personal Disaster. He's a park ranger. She's looking for a billionaire. So this is interesting. I get this is that he's a park ranger. She's looking for a story about a billionaire. He's the park ranger standing in her way. 10 years ago, Marcus Dane left the tech world in his dust and joined the National Park Service. For the last decade, the world has ignored the park ranger who could have been a billionaire, and now an intrepid reporter has tracked him down. Worse, she has a theory about him which would blow his quiet life to smithereens. He needs to send her packing. But he's already tumbled head over heels in insta-lust with her flippy ponytail and smart mouth. So, interesting. And then I got an author that I do own, but I have not read yet, and that's Amy Harmon. So we have The Song of David, which I have heard. This is part of a series, I believe. This one we have, so this is, I don't know if it's MMA or it's fighting. I know that. I won my first fight when I was 11 years old, and I've been throwing punches ever since. So he's a fighter. And she's a dancer. I'm assuming ballet. That's usually how it works. There's been a lot of like ballet romances that have been coming out, or like romances with ballet in them, which I find interesting because I don't know, like I'm not into ballet, so it kind of like, I don't really care about that aspect of it, but I do have, I think Making Faces was the other Amy Harmon book I have. So I do need to read her. All right, and then for the first time, I've been looking for this book for like over a year now, and yes, I could have just bought it online, but half the fun is in going to like the bookstores and looking for it. And that is Ravished by Amanda Quick. I've been looking for this forever. This was a booktuber favorite that I'm really, really curious about. I think Reckless is the one I do have. It's about our heroine has like something with people hiding like loot inside of some kind of historic caves or something, and she finds this reclusive man who has been dubbed the Beast of Blackthorn Hall for his scarred face and lecherous past, named Gideon. And she's, of course, everyone fears him and avoids him, and she's the only one who doesn't. Yeah. So now that she's in his clutches, Harriet must find a way to win his heart and evade the deadly trap of a scheming villain who would see them parted for all time. So I don't know. It sounds really interesting. Every time I hear people talk about it, I'm like, I need to find the book and I need to read it. So now I usually do my Penguin last, but we're going to do it first because it's actually, like I said, it's smaller than Amazon. So these are all books that a couple of them I have read. I just want to collect physical copies of, and a couple of them are on my TBR, and then one of them was sort of an impulse buy, but yeah. So one of the books that I have read that I finally got a physical copy of was Don't Kiss the Bride by Harriet Cole. I actually listened to this on audio last year or the year before or something like that, and I gave this like 5 stars. This is like one of my favorite books of the year that I read. This is a age gap marriage of convenience. She is in, I think she's 17 or 18. I think she's 17, in high school, has a very poor home life, and has an eating disorder. So there is triggers for that in here. He is a construction worker, I believe, who works across the street from her school. Her car breaks down one day and he comes to help her, and then discovers all of these things about her, and offers to marry her to get her on his health insurance, to get her out of her house, and just to take care of her. It's very, very slow burn. There's nothing like sexual or anything untoward that happens until she turns 18. I just really love this book. I want to reread it, like physically, maybe annotate or something, my physical copy that I have. But I really love this book. And then the other book I've already read and just want to collect the rest of the series is Riven Knight by Devney Perry. This is book 2 of her Clifton Forge series. A bunch of YouTubers were doing a Clifton Forge read-along. I think it was last year. So I joined in that and read the whole series and really, really loved it. So now I'm just slowly collecting them as I find them. I did get Steel King, and then this is the second one I've gotten. But this one was, I think, my favorite. I think it was this one, my favorite of the series. This is Genevieve and Isaiah. And this one is also, I loved this one because this was a very, very damaged hero. His brother was, I believe, from her other series, and I think he was the brother in Tragic, the brother of the hero in Tragic. I think her series kind of have like characters that overlap, and I can't remember precisely which ones are which, but I know he was in, his brother had a book in a different series, and you see him in that book and you know what happens. So when you're getting into this one, if you've read that series, you already know what happens. So this is a marriage of convenience. I think the heroine she was in the first book, and I can't remember exactly. Oh, she was the daughter of someone that was murdered in the first book, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And there are people after her, so in order to protect her, she has to marry, they make her marry, not make her, but they tell her she should marry Isaiah to be protected. So that's the marriage of convenience part. The hero is so damaged. I love it so much. It's so good. It's so good. It's so angsty. I want to reread this series. I read it on, did I listen to it? No. I think I read it on Kindle. I don't know, but I do want to reread. I have like, I talk about these books and I say I want to reread them, and then I have like so many other books that I have to still read for the first time. It's bad. Okay, now on to the books that I have not read yet, but I've been on my TBR. The first one being What Was Meant to Be by QB Tyler. This is the one where she has an affair with her dad's best friend, and then circumstances, because of their age, whatever, they break it off, and then she comes back and finds out and is engaged, I believe, to somebody else, and he's like, absolutely not, like, you are mine, that's all there is to it, like, this is not happening. So it's one of those, like, a second chance age gap thing. I did read one QB Tyler. I read Forget Me Not, and I really enjoyed it. So I really definitely need to read more by her. I do have a couple other books on my shelves by her, but I definitely need to pick them up. Okay, then we have a new release and a new to me author, and that is Here With Me by Brooke Montgomery. Now, I did read the novella to this series, the prequel novella, Come With Me, and I gave it 5 stars. I loved it. It had a secret baby trope. Fantastic. It's set on a horse ranch. You are introduced to the heroine in this book, in that book. This is also an age gap, and I believe this is, yeah, ex-boyfriend's dad, which we love. Okay, and then the impulse buy. Y'all know I'm a Mystic Box subscriber. They also have 2 other boxes. One is Arcane and one is the Belle book box. So I did get on the waitlist for Belle. I don't know, depending on how much it costs, I'll see if I actually like join when eventually I get off the wait list. But I was able to find Mystic boxes. If you go online looking for them, they're so expensive, the books. But Belle goes for a little bit cheaper, a little bit more affordable price. So I did get Absinthe by Winter Renshaw, which is the Belle book box edition. It was fairly cheap on there. I figured I love Mystic boxes editions so much that I would get maybe subscribe to Belle as well. Winter Renshaw is an author I have not actually read. I have heard of her. Oh, it is signed. It is signed. I don't know what this is about. On the back it just says, if things were different, I'd have made you mine the moment we met. Wait for me, Absinthe. So I don't know if that's their name or what, but I love the cover. I think it's beautiful. All of their editions are beautiful. So I'm gonna get to read that at some point. And now we're going to go into my massive Amazon haul. The first book I got was All Hallows Eve by Michael Penning. You might remember this from my one of my vlogs that I did for October. I was reading it for Halloween. I have not finished it yet. I'm still about halfway through it because I was gone for 4 days. And I brought it with me, but I didn't really have a chance to read. So I do still want to finish reading this. But this one takes place about 100 years after the Salem witch trials. So we're in like 1792, like a decade or so after the end of the Revolutionary War in Salem, Massachusetts. A prophecy supposedly has been coming true from the, I guess, Rebecca Hale, one of the witches hanged in Salem, put a curse on the town. And this prophecy, these things are starting happening that makes this prophecy come true. It is the night of All Hallows Eve. We have our heroine, Alice, whose husband has gone missing while investigating like strange occurrences that have happened in the town. And now she's here with her young daughter to find him. She doesn't believe in any of the ghosts or witches and any of this crap until her daughter goes missing. She witnesses the apparition of who she thinks is Rebecca Hale. Her daughter goes missing, and now she's on the road looking for her, and she teams up with a local widower named Jonas, whose son or daughter also goes missing. So they team up to try to get their children back. And I'm at the point right now where like their children have been taken, and she's looking for one of the town's like reclusive people who they all think she's a descendant of the witches or conjured the spirit of Rebecca Hale or whatever. So she's looking for this woman to hopefully get her child back because she thinks that she's taken her or did something that made her child be taken. So it's really interesting so far. This is also an indie published horror novella, so if you guys are at all interested in Tara Michael Penning, I'm really enjoying this series so far, or this book so far. Okay, next up we have part one, I should say, of The Devil's Crown by Monica James. So I bought part 2 a while ago because it was on sale, and then this one was still full price. This one finally went on sale for about the same price I bought book 2. So I finally picked it up. This is after, so you all know one of my favorite series is the All the Pretty Things series by Monica James, which is Bad Saint especially is my favorite book. So this duology is Alexi's story, who is essentially one of the villains in that trilogy. So we get his like after story, which I'm really excited to finally read. Then I got It Ain't Me Babe by Tilly Cole. This is the first book of the Hades Hangman series. Now this has been on my TBR for a while. I've just kind of been putting it off. But Mystic Box just did a special Tilly Cole box where they're doing books 2 and 3 of this series, because they did do a Tilly Cole box some years ago and did do Hades Hangman as one of their special editions. I unfortunately was not a member at the time for that box, so I have to get the first one in like the regular cover. Well, I still desperately want to read it. I know it's a dark motorcycle romance series, because I'm getting 2 and 3, so I'm gotta make sure I have book 1 and can read that. Next we have one of the actual new releases, and that is Shadows of You by Catherine Cowles. I have not read this series yet. I have mentioned in other videos that I'm reading her backlist first and reading them in order because I'm freaking like that. But I have been collecting all the books as frequently as I can, so I have them all lined up and ready to be read. I know, of course, they're on KU, but I love these covers so much, and I really want to support like these smaller indie authors as much as possible. So I do have books 1, and I think this is book 4. So I do definitely need to read this. This is her part of her Lost and Found series. So this one is a single mother and a surly, broody mountain man. I am like, I cannot wait. And then I also have another new release, and that is Hopeless by Elsie Silver. This is the last book of her Chestnut Springs series. This one is a military hero, tortured military hero. I assume there's going to be PTSD in here. And an outcast bartender, a shy girl from the wrong side of the tracks. I cannot wait to read this series. I have been, again, same as with Catherine Cowles, I have been reading her first series, the Gold Rush Ranch series, before I dive into this one. But I do, that's actually coming up next. So, everyone's been loving this series. I don't really see people talk about her first series, so I want to read that one first. I don't think there's any like overlap or anything, but that's just how I am. So I'm really excited to, I finally have this entire series. I own all of it. And then speaking of her Gold Rush Ranch series, now I don't remember which order these are in. I did get the books that I still needed. So I got the front runner, and these are the original couple covers. These are only available till the end of the year, which is why I picked them up immediately while I still could. Because I do like the like watercolor or like new discreet covers, but these ones are, I just like the original couple covers. So we got the front runner, which is a small town, it's fake dating. Then we have a false start, which is brother's best friend. And then we have a photo finish, which I think is second chance romance. So all of these books are set on a, I think, horse racing ranch or horse racing farm. Which I love because I used to read all the time the Thoroughbred series, and I love that Elsie Silver is an actual like equestrian or former equestrian and writes stuff with horses in them, like adult stuff with horses in them. Okay, another new release I picked up is one I'm dying to read is The Stars Are on Our Side by Jennifer Hartman. This is a highly anticipated book. I'm actually waiting for a couple books from her. I know the one I'm really anticipating she put aside for the time being. But this one is, if you read Still Beating, and you read Lotus, which I highly recommend reading definitely before this one. This is, you can never remember her name, Gabe and Tabitha's story. So Tabitha, if you read Still Beating, was the woman who was a survivor from the man who kidnapped Cora and Dean in Still Beating. She was the one survivor before them. And you get her story. You know what happens to her, like you know what happens. You know that the hero dies, which is in and of itself the most angsty shit. I can't. So, and then when you read Lotus, you get to meet Gabe, who is Oliver in that book, the hero in that book's brother. You get to see them meet and have like a thing. And this is their story, but you also get flashbacks apparently. I have not looked at it yet because I'm like, apparently you get flashbacks of the romance between Tabitha and I think Matthew was his name, the guy that she's kidnapped with. And we all know what happens to him, which I am I am so afraid to read this book. I'm so scared to read this book because I feel like I'm going to die. I'm going to blubber and bawl my eyes out because we know what happens. And we're going to see them fall in love. And you know that it's not going to be happily ever after, and that she has to come out of it and survive the trauma and then have Gabe, because Gabe is the hero. Gabe is the other hero in this book. And I'm just like, oh my God, I don't know what I can do, if I can do this, but I really want to read it so bad because I know it is going to wreck me. It's going to wreck me. It's going to haunt me. It's going to hurt me. I cannot wait. I love Jennifer Hartman so much. Okay, and then oh no, I have another Catherine Cowles. Okay, so I forgot. I have another Catherine Cowles in here. I got Tattered Stars, which is the first book of the Tattered and Torn series. This was the book series that was on my 23 series I want to read in 2023. But I'm decided to read the other series first. Like, I'm reading the series in order because I read Sutter Lake, and then I got to read the Wrecked series, and then this one's after the Wrecked series, Tattered and Torn, and then Lost and Found is after this series. So I got the first book. This one is, I believe, for Second Chance. Does it tell you in here? Oh, look at that on the inside. That's cute. I don't remember if this tells you if it's Second Chance or not. I don't know. One night changed them both forever. Their lives shattered beyond repair and jagged edges of pieces askew. I don't know. I think this is Second Chance, perhaps. Or Friends to Lovers. Something like that. So, I cannot wait to read more Catherine Cowles. I desperately, desperately need to. Okay, the last two are Daphne Perry. Another small town author that I really love to read. So this is her other series. The most famous series so far is The Edens. This is Crimson River. This is book 5, I believe. This is the newest one that came out. I don't know a whole lot about this series. I know it's like a family of siblings and each sibling has a book. This is Lila Eden. I've been kind of jumping around with her backlist. I read Clifton Forge. I read like random books in her Lark Cove series. I have not read the one other series, her first series. I read Runaway Road, the Runaway series. Like I have jumped in around a lot. So I need to finish like the ones, I need to finish Lark Cove and then the other series. But I may jump into this. I don't know. Like I want to like finish her backlist before I get into the new stuff. But like it takes me so long to get to things that like she'll have a whole new other series out before I even get to this one. Because I think there's only one book left. Sable Peak comes out in like December. So yeah, I need to read more. I need to read more. Okay, and then I got her one of her other new releases, which is Coach. This one is a football star, single dad football star. He was a former football star. Oh, he's the head coach. A former football star, single dad, and head coach of the Montana State Wildcats. So I actually wanted to do a football reading vlog for football season. I don't know if I'll end up getting to that at this point because it is November. The Super Bowl is usually in February, so maybe that gives me about 3-ish months to read it, to pick up and read some football romances, which I thought I would have a hard time finding, but there's more of them than I realized there were. So I maybe, we'll see. If not, I may end up having to push it to next fall, but I don't know, who knows. But all right, so those are all of the books that I got in October. I'll do a quick count for you guys real quick. So I got 26 books in October. That's about half of what I got in the 3 days in Illinois. So there's that. Okay, so yeah, so that's it for this video. You guys can look to my massive Illinois haul. Hopefully next week. I have it scheduled. I haven't planned for next week, but I have not filmed or edited or anything like that yet. So we'll see how that works out. But that's going to be it for this one, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.